Very excited to be talking about a big move for the Golden State Warriors on this 4th of July. They bring in a sharpshooter, Buddy Hield. No, you cannot replace Klay Thompson, but this might be the closest you can get to bringing in someone who can shoot the three ball at the same level. An analysis of what Hield brings to the table, how he might fit in with the Warriors, and then what could the next move be? I know we've talked at length about Lowry Markkanen, but who realistically could be shipped out for the Dubs, and what could the next days or weeks look like? We break all it down. Chuck, 4th of July doesn't mean there's a holiday in the sports world. This move, we heard about it a day or two ago, but now that it's officially happened, I don't know about you, but I am excited.
The fireworks are going off in the neighborhood still. They're not going to stop until about 4 o'clock in the morning. Keeps getting later every year. The fireworks keep getting more and more wild. I'm like, these things aren't even legal. Where are you getting these things? But again, Kylan, we're not going to call the cops, not those kinds of people. I'm not going to call the cops on the Warriors going after Buddy Hield, but I'm not sold. Like you seem very excited out of the gate. I'm going with a little pessimistic approach. I think the idea of Buddy Hield is better than Buddy Hield, if that makes a little bit of sense. Let me explain here. Let's go with some pros. Obviously, incredible shooter. He's a second unit scoring punch because he's not going to be playing on the floor often with Steph Curry. I think just defensively, I don't think you can have those guys on the floor at the same time. But when Curry's on the bench, he's definitely a nice person that comes in and gives him some veteran presence. Another thing, believes the Warriors can win. He did choose them over the Lakers. Actually said that was the main reason, telling Steve Kerr he went with the Warriors over the Lakers because he wanted to be on a team that could contend, and he believes the Warriors can do that. So you combine those two things, I should say, to the team, and you're signing someone that's healthy. That's massive, especially with some of the players the Warriors have already landed that are a little bit more injury prone. So they're getting a player that's missed less than 5 games his entire NBA career.
I know.
I love to 2016.
I love to
2016.
I love to hear it.
But can I get to the cons? Can I get to the cons?
Talking about Jimmy Butler, after talking about Zach LaVine, all of these guys who miss time and miss time and miss time, durability is a welcome change.
Well, let's get to the cons, because leading right into this is the fact that he says he wants to play on a winning team like the Warriors. There's one issue. Buddy Hield's never won anything. I know he got to the Final Four at Oklahoma, has made the playoffs once, 4 career playoff games for Buddy Hield. Let's look at the statistics for him in the playoffs last year with the Sixers. 5.5 points, a rebound, and a half an assist in 4 career playoff games. He's never won. I don't love it, Kylan, but he fills a role, and that is he can shoot really, really well.
Yeah, let's start with the basics before we get into looking at playoff stats, because we haven't even broken down the baseline stats for Buddy Hield and what exactly this whole deal involved. So the Golden State Warriors bring in guard Buddy Hield in a sign and trade from the Philadelphia 76ers. First reported on Thursday. It was reported about 48 hours ago that this was likely going to happen. The Dubs in serious talks. Now, the Warriors are sending the Dallas Mavericks a 2031 second-round pick, because that's the first question everyone asks. Well, what are we losing to bring in Buddy Hield? A second-round pick, which the Warriors had acquired by the sign-and trade involving All-Star Klay Thompson to Dallas earlier this week. So essentially, you lose Klay Thompson, you get back the second-round pick, you move that in order to bring in Hield from the Philadelphia 76ers, who's signing a deal, according to ESPN, where he's guaranteed at least 2 years and $21 million. So good bang for your buck as well for a Warriors team that is very, very tight in terms of the salary cap situation. So Hield in 32 regular season games this past season for the 76ers. He did come in at the trade deadline from the Indiana Pacers, averaged 12.2 points per game while averaging just about 43, 39, 92 shooting splits, which actually are a little bit lower than some of the splits he's had in prior seasons. 31 years old, you pointed out, very durable, and I'll give you a fun statistic about just how prolific of a three-point shooter Buddy Hield is. In all of NBA history, there have been 22 individual seasons in which a player made at least 270 three-pointers. 9 of those 22 seasons belong to Steph Curry. No surprise. 2 belong to Klay Thompson. Amazingly, 4 of those seasons belong to Buddy Hield, more than anyone else in the group of players who collectively have put together 22 individual seasons with at least 273 pointers. So he is the most outside of anyone named Steph Curry. Incredible. When you look at the volume, him and Klay Thompson about the same, 7.6 attempts per game. Thompson a little bit more efficient at 41.3%. Meanwhile, Hield right around 40%. Still, the comps very good right now, especially based on where Klay Thompson is at in his career. I know you just touched on some of the defensive issues because prior iterations of Klay Thompson before the injury, he was one of the best two-way guards in the NBA. Versus now, we've seen a little bit of a drop off in Klay's, and I'm being nice about it. I think we've seen a fairly significant drop off in Klay's ability to defend. Still an above average defender, but not that elite defender that you saw previously, where Buddy Hield is going to be more of a liability defensively. But in terms of the three ball, like comparing their numbers in terms of shooting efficiency, not much different this past year. Klay did average about 18 points, but Hield averaged 18 points just 2-3 seasons ago. So if he gets more opportunities, he could also be up at that number. So let's just talk about the positives to start, Chuck.
Okay. I mean, there are a lot of positives with Buddy Hield. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to bring someone in that has a role as he's a shooter. In the sport of basketball, you can never have enough shooters. But you mentioned like he mimics what Klay Thompson does. It's time to move on. Like we don't need someone to come in and replace Klay Thompson. They just need the best possible basketball players. And Buddy Hield has not won at a high level. He was an afterthought last year for the Sixers come playoff time. I just mentioned the numbers, 5.5 points. That's, in his 4 career playoff games, did actually have a good fourth career playoff game last year for the Sixers. But I mean, he's a volume shooter, hit 1,322 threes in the last 5 seasons. That's the most in the NBA over Steph Curry's 1,264. Obviously, Curry missed a lot of games in there, full season. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, Buddy Hield definitely fills a void for the Warriors in that sense. But I'm not like fired up about it. He's a nice add to the bench. I don't think he's starting. I don't think he's getting more than 18 minutes a game the way the roster is currently constructed. Now, if Peyton or Wiggins moves out, maybe some PT opens up.
18 minutes per game?
Yeah, he averaged 25 last year. I think 15 to 18. What about you?
I think that's insane. I think Buddy Hield is going to be a key piece of the bench. He should be one of the guys who's leading the bench in minutes. I expect 20 plus. I expect closer to 25 minutes per night. Yes, I do think you have to be careful in terms of spacing out and regulating his minutes alongside Steph Curry because of the defensive concerns. But still, there should be plenty of opportunities. You're looking at a prolific three-point shooter who can space the floor, and that's exactly what the Warriors need. You don't need someone to come in and beat Klay Thompson, but you need someone to come in and help space the floor and spread defenses out, whether it's starting, whether it's coming off the bench. And let's face it, Klay Thompson's role was supposed to be coming off the bench. You move one of the greatest shooters of all time. While, yes, he's maybe in the sunset of his career, Klay Thompson has been a prolific three-point shooter. You do have to make up those numbers in some way, shape, or form. He doesn't have to be Klay, but to bring in a player who can also shoot the three ball at a high volume while shooting about 40% from beyond the arc, that is definitely exciting. After Klay moves on, a lot of questions about who else do the Warriors have on this roster that can shoot the three ball. You bring in DeAnthony Melton, who's more of a defensive add to the team, which I think is a good add. I like the move, but to bring in someone who can shoot the three at that high of a clip, who can shoot the three that efficiently, also really good in terms of his off ball movement. That's another thing. If you watch Buddy Hield, that again, you can make some comparisons to Klay Thompson. I think he'll work really well in the Warriors motion offense, being able to come off of screens, just quick catch and pop. That's exactly what they need. And whether you like it or not, they do have to replicate some of what Klay Thompson was able to do in terms of shooting, because I'm shocked to be saying this about the Warriors, but they don't have a ton of shooters on this roster right now. I don't look at a Brandon Pajemski and say, yeah, this guy's a shooter. I love a lot of what he does, but it's a different skill set than a Buddy Hield. I think Moses Moody has potential to be a 3-and-D guy, but Andrew Wiggins' three-point numbers down a little bit this past season. And in general, I just think because of the way the play has fallen off, averaging 12, 13 points per game, the Warriors needed this.